Doing well, Mary Kay. The press conference last night. Look, lots of guys have come in here and won press conferences and not won games. What did you think of Hue Jackson last night?
Well, the reason why I think this will be different is because, first of all, he's got that first year of head coaching out of the way. I think all coaches underestimate that first year as a rookie head coach. They don't understand the media demands. They don't understand getting pulled in 25,000 different directions. They make quarterback mistakes. They do a lot of things wrong. I think he got some of the kinks out in his first job with the Raiders. It was a stressful job for him during a stressful time with Al Davis dying and him having to take on a lot more responsibility and things like that. So, he made some mistakes. I think he said, some things. We've probably all seen those quotes where he said he was mad at his team. He learned the power of his words. Although I will say that 2011 was even different than 2016 in terms of Twitter and media. So he will find out that things move even a little bit more fast and furious than they did in 2011. But he has the experience, and he's got the AFC North under his belt, 9 years in this division.
Mary Kay, if you think about the coaching search and the other teams that were attached to Hue Jackson, now those other teams didn't make an offer, but they showed some interest. San Francisco, the New York Giants wanted to interview him. The Browns didn't allow that to happen. Given the competition that the Browns had for Hue Jackson, are you surprised that he took this job?
Well, no, I'm not surprised that he took the job for a number of reasons. I knew he really liked the job right from the start. I knew he was very interested in it. Again, he loves the AFC North. He knows the division. He feels comfortable here. But then also the 49ers interviewed him, and then that was it. They stopped pursuing him a couple of days before the Browns hired him. So they were kind of out of the mix. And then the Giants, I think it started to become pretty clear that they really liked Ben McAdoo, although they were serious about Hue Jackson. He knew that he was going up there and competing with some of the other guys that they really, really liked. Whereas with the Browns, he knew that at that point he had become their number one choice. And it was basically a situation of he's ready to coach, he wants to get back into it, and this was the sure thing.
Mary Kay, he paid lip service to the analytics side of things and, Sashi Brown, Paul DePodesta, Jimmy Haslam, but at the same time, Hue Jackson sounded like a guy yesterday that if he's going to go down this time around, it's going to be on his terms. He sounded like a guy who believes he has a fair amount of power. Is that accurate? Yeah,
I would say so. I mean, it's hard to say how much power you're going to have when you don't have say over the roster. Mm-hmm. It's all, just kind of rhetoric until you actually get into it and see what the deal is. But I would have to think that, that he's going to have a huge influence on who they take at quarterback. I mean, if he doesn't like a certain quarterback, they're not going to pick that guy. They just put their time, investment, and money into Hue Jackson, and they're going to give him an opportunity to at least have a humongous say in who his quarterback is going to be. And he knows that position. So they can trust him to do that. Now, when it comes to, picking the next great pass rusher or cornerback, maybe he won't have as large of a voice in that. But I don't think he necessarily cares about that. If he feels as though he needs a cornerback, I'm sure that he trusts the talent evaluators to go get him one. So I think, there will be give and take. They'll all work together. I think he's very, very open to the whole analytics side of it. And he has shown that he's an innovator with the way he runs his offense. So I think he'll be on board.
Mary Kay, obviously the next steps, the Browns have a lot of work still to do. Got to find a defensive coordinator, got to find an offensive coordinator, got to find somebody who's going to be in charge of personnel. When it comes to that in particular, the guy in charge of personnel, what kinds of challenges do you think the Browns are going to run into here, given the structure that they have in place?
Well, I've talked to a number of NFL executives already who are not going to let their guys come and interview this job. They're not going to let them walk out the door for basically what is considered by some to be a lateral move. If you're not getting the promotion to GM where you have final say over the 53-man roster, then some of these guys just aren't going to get the chance. And if they do get the chance, then these teams are willing to let them go for a reason, that they're not being groomed for their own GM job there or something. So I do think that it presents challenges by not giving this guy the power. If you had that available to this GM, there would be amazing GMs, lined up outside the door to come and take this job. But they might, and they'll get somebody good, but they won't attract the top-notch candidates.
So, Mary Kay, are you saying essentially that their best chance might be somebody who's currently not in a position right now with another NFL team, somebody who was fired recently? Maybe he's on TV, maybe he's on the radio, but he has that GM experience in his background. He's just not with a team right now?
Well, that could be. It could be somebody like that. I mean, ESPN reported that they're going to talk to Martin Mayhew, who was fired by the Lions in the middle of the season after they got off to a 1-7 start. And then they will probably look internally at some of their guys. Chisholm Opara has been with the team for a long, long time. He's very, very well respected for his ability to evaluate talent. So he's somebody that I'm sure will get strong consideration from the team. Phil Savage, who may have initially hired him, former Browns GM, tweeted out this morning that he'll get some attention internally. And then, I'm just going to spend a lot of the day today calling around and trying to find other guys that they are interested in and looking at. And we were so busy with the coaching search that I just wasn't able to turn my attention yet to kind of trying to figure out exactly who they're bringing in here. But a bunch of names will surface over the next few days, and they'll come up with somebody good. But in terms of, the best of the best in GMs that we've ever heard of, those guys probably are not going to take this job.
Mary Kay, last question before we let you go. Hue Jackson has had Joe Flacco, Carson Palmer, Andy Dalton. Now Johnny Manziel, one of those guys is not like the other. Is this the end for Johnny?
I definitely think that it's the end for Johnny, and I think even before Hue walked in the door, the Browns were at the end of their rope. I wrote yesterday that they gave him the cold shoulder on getaway day. They just really didn't have much use for him. They were very angry about what happened over the weekend. They couldn't get a hold of him that whole day Sunday. He brought more embarrassment to the organization, and they know they can't trust him right now. And I think they'll either move on or at least just put him on the back burner and let him try to get himself together.